The governor's race gave us some interesting headlines this week. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Jared Polis plans to launch a $3 million statewide ad blitz starting in October. And the Colorado Education Association officially endorsed Polis, whom they vilified with negative ads during the primary. Meanwhile, the Colorado Democratic Party came out criticizing Walker Stapleton for a future fundraiser event with Tom Tancredo. David, none of these headlines were terribly surprising. The CEA was certainly not going to back Stapleton, Polis spending money during the campaign is not exactly riveting, surprising news. But I guess this is setting up something a little bit more interesting as we get into election season, which I think would officially kick off after Labor Day. When you see what's developed this week, what do you think?
This is the world that Common Cause has created when it successfully got a ballot measure passed over a decade ago, amendment Article 20 of our state constitution, which is extremely restrictive campaign finance laws. You can't in the United States prevent somebody from spending their own money on their own message, because as the Supreme Court has said, the rationale for campaign finance restrictions is to prevent corruption. And obviously Jared Polis spending these enormous amounts of money is not going to corrupt himself. He's not going to say, well, I'm thinking of doing something that I agree with, but well, I'm not sure. Oh, wait, I gave myself so much money. I should definitely do that. I'm my own biggest supporter. Of course, it's unfair, and it's especially unfair to the other candidates who are not so wealthy because they have the limits on what they can raise are so low, it's very hard for anybody to match somebody who can self-fund. Now, it's the person who spends the most doesn't always win the election, but it sometimes helps. Jared won his first race for the State Board of Education by spending, I think, more than the gross national product of some areas. And his opponent spent almost nothing, and Jared narrowly won. This won't be such a spending gap, but in a close race, it's absolutely possible his personal wealth could take him over the top.
Susan, from the various, headlines, not necessarily surprising headlines, what stood out to you most?
I think what is left unsaid here is Walker Stapleton, who's making so much hay about Jared Polis's money, which, by the way, is this is a completely valid topic to bring up, self-funding. But he's not calling for campaign finance reform. You would think someone who has such a problem with that would be calling for it, and actually Jared is. So yes, Jared is after he gets in and shuts the door behind him, right? But there's some hypocrisy in that. There's also some hypocrisy in the fact that Stapleton, his activities before he officially announced for governor, when he was raising money and helping raise money for the super PAC that was basically created to elect him governor, is noteworthy here. I mean, this is not a man whose engagement with campaign finance is so pure that it shouldn't be scrutinized. Number two, about the developments this week, this Tancredo fundraiser, it's stunning, frankly. I mean, I understand in some ways why Stapleton, especially when he had to get on the ballot at the state convention, wanted Tancredo to sort of improve his vast right-wing conspiracy credentials. But in the general election, campaigning with Tom Tancredo, in this era when so much is happening and there is bipartisan outrage about the way the government is treating immigrants, to be campaigning and raising money for your campaign with Tom Tancredo seems tone deaf.
Ross, I was commiserating with a friend yesterday. In the good old days of Colorado politics, you'd have a primary season where the candidates justifiably go towards their bases, kind of the ends of the spectrum, and then the general election they start jogging towards the center. I'm going to be a moderate now, even though I was a different way in the primary. I say the good old days because that's not how it is nowadays. I think on both sides you have, at least in a gubernatorial race, folks who are perfectly happy on the wings of their party and saying, one way or the other, you're going to vote this way or the other way. We're not going to run to the center. Perhaps I'm just being cynical. What do you think?
Well, to me, I see these two stories, Jared Polis and the CEA, and then Walker doing a fundraiser with Tom Tancredo as exactly the same story, right? Each side trying to unite the various wings of their party And there's nothing surprising about this at all. I don't think there's anything shocking about Walker Stapleton doing anything with Tom Tancredo. Almost nobody is going to know that. And if the Democrats try to run ads saying, oh, Walker Stapleton did a fundraiser with Tancredo, it's pretty difficult for Jared Polis, who people are going to be accusing of just trying to buy the election outright, to complain about that. So, you know, Walker Stapleton is not necessarily trusted by the furthest right part of the Republican Party to be their cup of tea. He's trying to get their support and their money doing a thing with Tancredo. Jared is doing the same thing with the teachers. There's nothing surprising at all, and nobody will remember any of this when it comes time to cast their ballot.
Patty, as one of the originals of this table, you know how much fun we've had with Tom Tancredo at this table. He brings fun wherever he goes, especially to a political story like this. What are your thoughts?
Well, and we will remember in November, we'll be talking about this too. Tom Tancredo not only brings fun and outrageousness, but he might bring 36% of the vote, which is what he got 8 years ago when he was running as an independent. So it's not just the voters in the center that these people are looking for. They want to be sure other people remember to vote. So if you can get the people on the far right or the people on the far left to be sure to vote for you, that's a win too, because no one may get the people in the middle. No one may be able to stomach these candidates. So he's going to be pushing, and Tancredo, I mean, it's not like he hasn't already had the Tancredo taint. If people want to dislike Walker Stapleton for, there are many reasons, but because of Tancredo, he's already got him. He's already got him from giving that nominating speech. So he might just get more people who support him because they want to vote for Tancredo.